My name is Benjamin Coxon. I was reportedly born on August 25th, 1986, in the county of San Francisco in the state of California. The number listed on the California driver's license issued to me is D4315123. So it is currently February 9th, 2020. It's currently about 12:02 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be looking at the California Penal Code. This will be with regards to events occurring 2011 to 2020, possibly events during 2010. I might make mention of events 2010, and I might make mention of events prior to 2010. However, I might not make mention of events 2010 or prior to 2010. This does not mean the crimes did not occur then. I'm primarily focused on 2011 to 2020. Alright, so I've accessed a copy of the California Penal Code by looking at the website, starting with the web address legislatore.ca.gov. There's the web address continues after that. That was the first part of it. All right. So I'm looking at California Penal Code. California Penal Code, Part 1 of Crimes and Punishments. I'm going to go down to Title 8 of Crimes Against the Person, Chapter 9, Assault and Battery. So Chapter 9, Assault and Battery, Section 240. An assault is an unlawful attempt coupled with a present ability to commit a violent injury on the person of another. Okay, so 2011, I was in County Santa Clara. Harassment, assault, and battery started, or harassment started, and I suspect assault and battery started. I was lying in my apartment. I heard the words, "What are you doing here?" communicated to me through what I suspect was some advanced technology. From there on, I was harassed from waking up till going to sleep, all the way into 2020. So, unlawful attempt, present ability, violent injury on another person. So, in this instance, I would be the person of another. The person of another would refer to me. Say an unlawful attempt. The harassment, it came out of nowhere, and it was like aggressive. I didn't know what was occurring. I'm not currently certain when I started saying stop. I know I had said it, after 2014, during and probably during and after, and definitely after 2014. And I'm not sure if I was saying stop during 2011 and the following years. However, it did come on very much like a dominating force. I was distressed. I didn't know what to do. I suspect there were people communicating to me. It seemed like there were people communicating to me through this advanced technology, like human speech, and I suspect they were observing me also. So they would have known that I was distressed. And what I suspect is, so I suspect there was some involvement of some advanced technology doing something to my neurological system. I think I remember cycled thoughts. I also remember feeling compelled to do things. I would attempt to masturbate so I would fall asleep and not have to deal with the harassment. It was almost like they were communicating to me and also causing me to say things that I know, or it seemed like there was some sort of elicitation of things that I know that also might have been them just saying what I know, making it seem like they were eliciting it from me, trying to get me to almost starting a thought for me and then having me doing something to me where I'm prone to saying the thought or sub-vocalizing the thought, completing the thought, while I'm being observed through this advanced technology and possibly I also like, I think I perceived indications or perceived thoughts that I was being publicized to like a large group of people or the general public or parts of the general public while this was occurring. This occurred in Santa Clara County, and then I got a ride either through Alameda County or through San Francisco County. I'm not sure. But anyway, I ended up in Sonoma County. So it started in Santa Clara County, and I spent a bunch of my time in Sonoma County. And I also, then 2012, I went through a bunch of different states in the U.S. I think came back, went to different, then left again, came back, then left again, came back. And then that got me all the way to like 2014 or late 2013. So I've been in the United States mostly. There was I was in Canada for like less than an hour sometime during 2013. However, I'd have to stop and slow down and think about it more to remember if I was harassed while I was in Canada or not. So I think with if they were cycling my thoughts, 2011, 2012, 2013, and all the way to 2020. However, the harassment was sort of it went 2011 to 2013, then sort of late 2013, and during 2014 there was a definite increase in the obviousness of battery. I suspect there was battery prior to. I could stop and recall and remember, make a better effort to remember if I had more time. I'm trying to make a video right now, so maybe I'll go back and do that part. So 2011 through 2013, I'd say qualifies as an assault. So they were operating this advanced technology, which was doing all sorts of things to me, like communicating to me, and I suspect causing me to want to do things, or I suspect influencing me to do things. So I think that would indicate a present ability to violently injure me. They're doing things to my neurological system. And there was something about the nature of the harassment. It was ongoing all day long while I was awake. So it almost had an overload sort of quality to it. That my neurological system, if it was being stimulated remotely by this advanced technology, it was it'd be kind of like an overload on my neurological system, or seems like it might be. I'm not a doctor, but it seems going all day long while I'm awake might cook my neurological system, even more so than it might have already been cooked. So yeah, I don't think what they were doing was healthy to me. And even if they weren't doing something to me, they were sort of, which I suspect they were doing things to me. I suspect they were doing things to my neurological system in addition to communicating to me. However, I'm not certain about that. It came on, I was distressed. It came on like an attack. So I think that's qualifies as violent. Anyway, I think someone operating this technology would have the present ability. And they were doing something to me. Yeah, I think they were doing something to me, so that would be the unlawful attempt. It's actually a successful attempt. So, I'm trying to think of indicators that they were doing something to my actual neurological system. During 2011 to 2013, I'd be sometimes I get woken up in the middle of the night, and I'd become very angry, or I'd be very angry at my siblings. So I suspect they might have been doing something to my neurological system. I think that might indicate that they were doing something to my actual emotions, thoughts, state of personality at the time. So that would indicate actual injury to my neurological system and not just noise or sound harassment. However, in addition to that, I think because the sound harassment was continuous all day long, day after day, 365 days a year, from a day in the first half of 2011 through 2013. So it continued after 2013. You might say the emotional harassment and the mental health aspect of being harassed all day long, daily, for years, would constitute violent injury. So it could be said there was violent injury, or you might be able to say like violent injury was perpetrated against like my emotional like well-being, my mental health. And I also strongly suspect that they were doing things to my neurological system while I was perceiving sound harassment. I suspect, I'm not sure, like, because there was like I perceived amplified, like vehicle traffic noise, like the sound of the freeway. I perceived amplified, like overhead plane traffic noise. I don't know if they do that with actual, like actual sound vibrations, if the technology has some way of doing that, or if they do that by stimulating my neurological system remotely and causing me that in a way that causes me to like perceive that the vehicle traffic or overhead plane traffic is amplified. I was also masturbating a lot to like try and fall asleep because like I didn't know what to do. And so I think they might have like operated, the technology might have contributed towards me like wanting to masturbate or wanting to, they might have affected like my reasoning processes and like, stuff like that, my neurological system as to like me wanting to masturbate. You could also say that like the amount of masturbation was so excessive, it might be considered injurious. And because it like occurred during an attack, it might be considered like violent. Just like I was masturbating a lot to try and fall asleep, like multiple times a day. That was like my strategy for dealing with it during parts of it. I was also, sorry about the crude nature of that, but or possible crude nature of that. Also in Sonoma County, sometime during 2011 to 2013, I recall I was riding a series of public transportation buses home from work, where I was working it was like east of Rincon Valley in Sonoma County. I was transferring buses. I was in downtown Santa Rosa to transfer buses. And I remember thinking like, oh, please don't make me go to a bar. Please don't make me go to a bar, like causing me to want to go to a bar and drink alcohol. And then I went to a bar. I remember like walking and being like, oh no, that's like the sensation or like that's the feeling of someone causing me to want to go to a bar. And so I think that would indicate that they were doing something to my neurological system. I recall that occurred. Like all memories, I'm not certain, but I do recall that occurred. I'm trying to think if it occurred like after 2013, and I don't think so. I think it was when I was working for this guy Richard, like I said, like northeast of Rincon Valley, Sonoma County. So that would have been between 2011 to 2013 in Sonoma County, California, USA. That was downtown Santa Rosa. So, yeah. So that'd be section 240 for 2011 to 2012. So then I'd say 2014 to 2020. Ooh. I think this stuff might take care of battery also. So, okay. Then 2013 to 2014, there was all sorts of stuff. Like, I was like overtly attacked. I felt like an ear pain. I've described this stuff on previous videos. Felt like a sudden ear pain while I was working at Subway in the town of Windsor in the county of Sonoma in the state of California during either 2013, 2014, and or 2015. There was one instance in particular I remember. There's also, there was an incident with like a homemade penis pump enlarger that I hooked up to the vacuum. I very strongly suspect and believe that I was excited through some advanced technology by people operating some advanced technology acting on my neurological system and caused to put my penis into like a Tupperware container that I hooked up to the home vacuum cleaner. It like disfigured my penis, caused like the body to bloat and the head to like appear smaller and like the connective tissue at the base seemed like loose and like it didn't seem healthy. The edge, it was like the edge of, say this is like the edge of the Tupperware container. It was more like maybe that size. This is the edge of a Tupperware container, but the suction would come on. It would like suck to right against my body, so like above my penis and below the base of my penis, so in between my penis and like my testicles. So all like that connective tissue right there had like a lot of pressure put on it. I don't think it was helpful. I don't think it was healthy. I think it might have been it might constitute violent injury. Also after that, I could feel like you crack your knuckles and you kind of like that. I'd feel that kind of happen to my spine if I would like stand up and bend over and kind of like stretch my back a little bit, even like normally. And I'd feel like my spine like lengthen like that, and I'd hear it pop a little bit, or I'd feel it pop rather. I'd feel it pop, and so it was very disturbing to have like the thought of like my spinal columns like expanding or like sliding up and down my spinal cord. After I was like caused to use this penis pump enlarger by people operating this advanced technology. This occurred when I was in this house in the town of Windsor in the county of Sonoma in the state of California during 2013 and or 2014. It might have been during 2015, but I really think 2013 and or 2014. I'm almost certain of that. There was that, and then there was all sorts of like, and it all happened, and that stuff happened like, kind of like, I was like under attack, you know? It was like the harassment was going on all day long, day after day. I'd gotten, like the nature of the harassment was kind of like, or like the content was kind of like heating up or like becoming more aggressive or more like overtly aggressive, becoming more aggressive and more overtly aggressive. There was like depictions of people coming around and harassing me. I could tell I was sort of like under attack and like heated up, and like I'm already like kind of averse to masturbation, like because I don't think it's very like good for like my anatomy and whatnot. But like, you know, these people were like, they had me like excited and like moving, and like I had like a dowel in my anus and like things I've like done before, but not really like I haven't done them like that, and I haven't done them like that. It was like this long dowel, and there was like vegetable oil on the floor, so it was kind of like frightening. It was sort of frightening that like this long narrow wooden dowel on my anus, and like could easily like I could like slip and like it could like rip my insides apart and kill me. And I was very much aware of that as that was occurring. I think that might have been intentionally that these people made me aware of that. Might be I'm not certain who. I made various other videos, additional videos of. It was all perpetrated through an advanced technology. So although I've seen like depictions of people, I'm not certain who or done through what I suspect is an advanced technology. So, you know, I'm not certain who was doing it. I suspect it's like it could be used to cause me to perceive like images of people who are different than the actual people operating it. Seems sort of like it could be like digitally mixed or computer mixed or some sort of like equivalent of that through this advanced technology. Okay, there's all sorts of like wooing and deeing. So like I'd be like aware of something, and then all of a sudden I wouldn't be, and it was almost like done in like the context of like making it, in the context of like harassing and assaulting and battering me, attacking me, kind of that I was like at the mercy of these people. And every now and then there'd be like little demonstrations, or they'd be done in a way that would make it seem sort of obvious what they were doing. There's all that. There's all sorts of like sexual battery. There's also like they do things with my genitals. They cause me to ejaculate. They'd shrink and enlarge my genitals. They'd shrink and enlarge my cranium while they were like pinking me or faux pinking me or fake pinking me. They'd limp my wrist, like cause it to loosen, and then sometimes cause it to tighten. They cause my anus to leak fluid, and they'd rhyme about like gut and butt, and so it was very much seemed like willful and deliberate. Like I'd be out like walking for a day, and like I'd get back, and like I'd find like an excessive amount of like anal fluid on my anus, and like itch and be irritated, and like what else was there? I believe I was caused to smoke a lot of marijuana, so I'm not sure what all like the THC and all the marijuana chemicals have been doing to my brain. I was telling them to stop causing me to want to smoke marijuana. I'd still like want to go smoke marijuana. This would be like 2018, 2019, I think 2019, and 2020 possibly. And also cancer or carcinogen effects of smoking marijuana, like marijuana plant matter. I'm like aware of those things, so it's they did those things. That this was more than just presentability. This was actual like things that occurred. I was in the state of California, smoking marijuana. State of California, County of Sonoma with the penis pump, County of Sonoma, State of California with a lot of the neurological battery stuff, Town of Windsor with a lot of the neurological battery stuff. Okay, there's more stuff and there's more videos. I'm gonna try and move kind of quickly through this, just so there's like a short video of me stating things about the California Penal Code and what I've been through. So there are videos that kind of go into more detail. Okay, I'm going to look at, okay, so this will be section 242. A battery is any willful and unlawful use of force or violence upon the person of another. So I think I just described those. So all those instances would constitute battery and assault. So that's section 242, section 240, the California Penal Code. There was more stuff. I've been like neurosurged, like sturges of sensations, I think are caused by people operating this advanced technology. I suspect people have stimulated my neurological system to cause me to fear, harass, or anyway. There are additional videos. I think there's been stuff going on every day since the day in 2011, and things really escalated around 2014. I kind of want to move through a video quickly, so I'm just trying to sort of like qualify. But you know, I'm available for questioning. I'm available for interview. Yeah. So there's more. But I think the harassment that I've endured, like kind of sort of like sound harassment, as also in addition to like sexual harassment and like thought harassment, like harassing thoughts. And I suspect that all the harassment is perpetrated by stimulating my neurological system. So I think all the harassment, and even all the communication that comes along while they're harassing me, would constitute battery. Because I suspect these people are operating some advanced technology that's remotely acting on my neurological system, on my brain and on my body. So even every time they like induce a thought or communicate to me by inducing a thought, that would constitute battery. Because I was saying stop out loud. Because I was telling these people to stop battering me. I was telling them to stop doing anything to me. And they were harassing me all day long. So then if they try to communicate to me if they communicate to me while they're harassing me and threatening me, or if they communicate to me about threatening and harassing me, or if they do anything through this advanced technology that's stimulating my neurological system, I think that would constitute battery. Because while they were harassing me and battering me, I was saying stop. At least 2014, at least after 2014 to 2020. So at least 2018, 2019, 2020. And I'm pretty sure 2014 to 2020. And I even think I said stop like during 2000. I think I said stop 2011 to 2014. I mean, 2011 through 2013. I'm pretty sure of that. Even if I didn't, I was distressed. I suspect they were monitoring my thoughts. Like they were aware of what my thoughts were, so they would have known that I was distressed. My thoughts were so occupied with what they were doing that Even if I didn't say stop, you know, I feel like my resources to say stop and like communicate stop would be like caught up in what they were and how they were battering me, just because they were like so like close to my thoughts or like acting on my thoughts. Suspectedly, I'll try and slow down at a different time and like really remember what went on in 2011 to 2013, so I can find out like if I was saying stop or not. It's kind of a big issue. But I was like noticeably distressed. Yeah. Anyway. All right. That was. Okay, I have a paper here. So it has yesterday's date, 200208 at the top. Today is the 9th. I have a pen. I'm gonna write under 200208, I'm gonna write 200209. Then under assault and battery, I'm going to write, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna write 200209 about 12:28. So I wrote A1228. It's about 12:28 p.m. right now. And then I'm gonna write my name, Benjamin Coxon. I'm gonna sign it. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for battery. 200209 A1228 Benjamin Coxon. Let's sign it. Okay. Okay. Now, there are other sections that I think these people might qualify for, but I'm kind of trying to cover a few of the big ones. And I've made previous videos that I made available to law enforcement and criminal prosecutors by posting on or uploading them to a file sharing service and sharing an access link and password to law enforcement and Sonoma County Sheriff and criminal prosecutors, including the Sonoma County Sheriff, the Sonoma County District Attorney's Office, and the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm looking for... Okay, now I'm going to look for sexual assault, sexual battery. All right, section, okay, this is going to be California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 8, Chapter 9, assault and battery. Section 243.4A. So it reads, any person who touches an intimate part, so touch. It was all done through, all this stuff 2011 to 2020 was perpetrated through some advanced technology. So they weren't like physically, I don't think the perpetrators were physically touching me. Like they were never like physically present in front of me, like putting their hands on me. However, I suspect this technology has the ability to like simulate touching someone. So I think they're lying in a room somewhere, operating this advanced technology and possibly like experiencing sensations that are like a simulation of touching me, possibly experiencing sensations that are like a simulation of like their genitals being stimulated, either by engaging in sex with me, engaging in sexual activity with me, or just by like some sort of programming of this advanced technology to stimulate their genitals depending on mine and their like emotional states and like what they're going through. I think it might be referred to as pinking or something like that. And I should also say a lot of the people who have been depicted as what I've been going through, like 2014 to 2020, I think part of what it's been are people like attempting to like what they call make this technology or make the pinking of me or make me pink or pink me. So where these people might be like in a position different than just sort of like normal like pinking, they've been in a position of sort of like setting me up for pinking and like programming all this technology so that it interacts with me and people and different people in the world, so that our genitals can be stimulated by like our just by like while we're interacting, also stimulated through like sexual thought, all sorts of like ways it could go. So I don't think they weren't physically touching me. They weren't physically present touching me. And as far as like the simulations go that occur while people are pinking, a lot of what went on in 2014 was them like making or supposedly or possibly making the technological programming or doing like the work to program this technology to interact with me and my sexual organs and different people. So there was a lot of like setup work going on, a lot of programming work, a lot of making work going on. So as far as like investigators go, like trying to like determine if they, if the stuff qualifies, it's like a point of consideration. However, I think part of making is part of what's involved in making is like actually like participating in these sort of like these like simulated sexual experiences, and also participating in like everyone's genitals get stimulated while we communicate. That's sort of something that goes on, or not everyone, but like you communicate to people and like you like sense like their reactions. You sense your own reactions, and part of how you sense it is through like the genital stimulation. So this technology is programmed to stimulate people's genitals, depending on how they interact, depending on like their thoughts, and also so they can also like simulate sexual activity through this advanced technology and be stimulated, aroused, orgasm, ejaculate, and have like kind of like an entire like simulated sexual experience, as well as just sort of sexual stimulation while people are communicating and just sort of like so there's simulated sex, and then there's sexual stimulation during like normal communication, or sometimes sexual stimulation during sometimes normal communication. Okay, so section 243.4a. So a person who touches, so they didn't necessarily touch, but there might have been simulations of touch. So I'm not sure how it would go. Intimate part of another person. My genitals were stimulated. My penis was stimulated. My scrotum was stimulated. My testicles were stimulated, or felt as though they were stimulated. My penis was stimulated. My penis was engorged. My penis was caused to ejaculate. I was caused to experience sexual desire, sexual gratification, sexual experience, sexual sensation, sexual pleasure. And I'm not certain what everyone else was going through. Like the people perpetrating this stuff on me, I suspect that they might have also been sexually stimulated, like their genitals sexually stimulated, possibly like emotionally sexually stimulated. What their depictions of them like. You should probably get an investigator for this one. I think they're like depictions of them like kind of like working on me, like trying to like bring me along through this stuff and possibly programming this. Not really depictions of them programming it, but I had like thoughts of them programming it. There was that, and then there was also, yeah. Okay, so I guess you gotta get an investigator. You can ask me again. I'll try to remember it better. Kind of trying not to lose track here. Okay. Trying to move through a lot of sections, so I'm moving kind of quickly and briefly. I am available for interview and questioning, and I've made previous videos about this sort of thing, and I may make videos in the future about more in depth. I'm also available to law enforcement and criminal prosecutors for questioning, interview, just hanging out, just about anything. I'm available for interview and questioning. I'm available for interview and questioning about what I'm describing, also. Okay. Section 243.4a. Any person who touches the intimate part of another person while that person is unlawfully restrained. So I was harassed daily. So when I woke up, I was woken up to harassment, and I fell asleep to harassment, and the entire day in between, I was harassed. I might have been doing things like to escape the harassment, or doing things while I was sitting there like getting a break from the harassment. However, like I experienced my entire day under the context of, wow, I was woken up harassed, I'm probably going to fall asleep harassed, and I'm going to be harassed all day long. And if I like take a break from like whatever my train of thought is, whenever I get like a moment of thought without them harassing me, or without me being aware of them harassing me and like causing me to be doing what I'm doing at the time, I lost track of that. So I was functioning my entire day, like I went through my entire day under the context of being harassed. And I would say I wasn't not harassed for more than like 10 minutes at a time. Like there were times when I'd be in like a therapy session where every now and then I get like a few minutes break because I'd be like talking and engaging with the therapist, but even like during the therapy session, like I couldn't get through an entire therapy session without being harassed through this advanced technology. I doubt I could go like 10 minutes without being harassed. Anyway, so I guess there's some question about what like continuous harassment constitutes. I would say my entire day, my entire week, my entire month, my entire years were I like functioned during those days like as though I was being harassed. I was aware I was like essentially like a captive of like people harassing me. Like regardless of where I go, what I did, who I talked to, I was going to be harassed, and because of the nature of the harassment, and also because of additional things they were doing to me, assaulted and battered. I mean, I've been harassed in like police station waiting rooms. I've been harassed been sexually harassed. I've been sexually battered in police station waiting rooms, Sonoma County Board of Supervisors meetings, mental health hospitals, hospital emergency rooms. I have audio recordings of me being harassed of me describing me being harassed in a hospital emergency room in Sonoma County. So I mean to say, I was essentially like restrained by these people, and that I attempted to flee the state, or I attempted to leave the state to escape being harassed. They followed me. They followed me around like multiple states. What else? I attempted to leave the county, Sonoma County, to like go to a hospital emergency room that wasn't in Sonoma County, and I was harassed on the way there. I was harassed in the hospital emergency room. I was harassed in the psychiatric hospital after that. Okay. So essentially I was restrained, or essentially like a captive of these people. They observed me, followed me, harassed me all day long. I attempted to escape, or I attempted to go somewhere else. They followed me. By the accused or an accomplice, there was depictions of multiple people perpetrating this stuff against me. And I was, if the touching is against the will of the person touched, I was saying stop. During 2014 to 2020, I would even like put my hand up during times and say stop, 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 stop. So I would say stop out loud, clearly, understandably, comprehendibly. I was very obvious and conspicuous about saying stop. There were times I'd probably said stop more than 50 times during the day. And yeah. There was a brief period, I made a video about this already, so I won't go into too much detail. There was a brief period after like June, July 2019. I was coming down off a lot of like heavy doses of psychiatric medication. There's possibly like a retarding of a battery that occurred. And I think I was saying no. And I think I was like walking away a lot. but I was still like, people were still like sexually harassing me, sexually assaulting me, like almost like attempting to seduce me, maybe might qualify as that. But anyway, I was coming down off high doses of psych meds. I was like, I think like over the recommended, possibly at or over the recommended dose of like Risperdal, or like the injection form of Risperdal. It's an antipsychotic medication, prescription medication. There's like an injection form that's called like Sustaina and Vega or something, or anyway, something like that. Anyway, so I was coming down off of that, and I wasn't like saying stop, and like there's some sort of like, I think they actually like retarded me briefly. Like some of the O didn't seem right, or it seemed unhealthy and possibly injurious. Anyway, I think there's a video about it. There's probably an audio recording about it also. So I don't want to go into too much detail about that right now. Okay, back to section 243.4a. Okay, there's for the purpose of sexual arousal, sexual gratification, or sexual abuse. One, I suspect while they're making this pinking stuff, like a lot of the females themselves become sexually aroused. I think that's part of making it is involves in like participating in it, so they can like refine the programming. Again, during that stuff, I was saying stop. And they just kept rolling through me. They kept doing stuff to me. Lots of audio recordings about it. Also about as far as like sexual gratification. I suspect a lot of females participated in like the stuff with like the penis pump enlarger, the stuff with or perpetrating stuff with the penis pump enlarger, stuff with perpetrating the long wooden dowel. Also like the kind of like the overt battery of me in front of a lot of people, sexual battery of me in front of a lot of people. And I suspect a lot of these females might have found it like sexually gratifying to essentially like batter me, beat me up, also like sexually assault me, sexually batter me in front of all these people. I think it might have been like a major power trip for them. And I think they may have found it like sexually gratifying to batter me in front of all these people in like a sexual fashion. And I think there was a lot. I had the everybody thing going. There was like there have been past sexual assaults that I participated in or was present for, or was present during. There's been purportedly a bunch of herpes spread around by me, and I think there was a lot of like. So you can imagine there's a lot of motivation for sort of like maybe some females who are feminine in particular ways, and there might have been sexual gratification in essentially battering me and beating me up and sexually battering me. I suspect it may have been sexually gratifying to a lot of these females, and possibly some of the males who participated in sexually. Yeah, there was some sexual battery from them also. I think they might have found it gratifying, as well as arousing. The way this technology stuff's done, it seems like very like, yeah. So that'd be section 243.4a. The pinking stuff, I think a lot of it. But at the same time, I should say I suspect it's been perpetrated through some advanced technology. So it could be that they were like very distant from it and just like simulated that they were participating and like sexually aroused. So it might be that they skipped the sexual arousal. However, I think they might have found it like sexually gratifying. I'm not sure what the exact definition of sexual gratification is, but they might have found it sexually gratifying to like batter me and like sexually batter me, even if they weren't themselves like stimulated by it at the time, or like directly sexually stimulated through the advanced technology. Might have been a sexually gratifying experience. They might have found it as such. Okay, so that's section 243.4a, section 243.4b. Again, there's issues with touch because it was all perpetrated through advanced technology. But during 2018 and 2019, I was 5150, California Health and Safety Code, 5150, 5250, 5 separate times. I'm pretty sure it's 5 separate times. And I was sexually battered while I was sexually harassed, sexually battered while I was in locked psychiatric hospitals. I'd be there anywhere between like a few days and like 2 to 3 weeks. I go to all like the hearings and like stuff to try and get released and try to have them like stop, administering or stop forcing me or requiring me to take psychiatric medication. But like that would, I wouldn't get released for like at least like 2 weeks. Sometimes prior to 2 weeks, sometimes before 2 weeks. I think it was somewhere between like a few days and a few weeks. I don't think I was ever there for more than a month. But, I'd be on psychiatric medication. I'd be like detained. I had to stay. It was like a locked psychiatric facility every time that occurred. I was also sexually battered while I'm pretty sure I was sexually battered. I think I have handwritten notes from during 2019. I was at like a private mental health rehab house in Southern California. Sometime, I think like during May 2019. I'm pretty sure I was sexually battered then also. And I was the May 2019 mental health rehab place in Southern California was when I was on high doses of antipsychotic medication. And that stuff is like disorienting. I will say it's like incapacitating. Like, it's very much like it's a heavy medication. I'd be like disoriented. Sometimes vision wouldn't. Sometimes it wasn't my vision. I think it was vision, but I think I had like difficulty motivating. Anyway, I had the medical records, high doses of antipsychotic medication, if not like over the recommended dose at some point. High doses. So it's about section 243.4. So medically incapacitated. I think I might have been medically incapacitated or seriously disabled. Either one of those. I think medically incapacitated. Section C. They do all this like screwing and stuff and like stuff with like this advanced technology. Where I think at times I'm like, I think they do things with like my consciousness. So at times I'm like, they like alter my consciousness. I should say they sometimes they sort of like, sometimes like almost like in an attempt, I can't tell if it's like, I think sometimes they attempt to convince and sometimes they kind of, it's sort of like a half-hearted attempt to convince me, but they've had a lot of like, they've been saying a lot of like kind of like complex and convoluted excuses, and a lot of it seems just sort of like, it doesn't seem legitimate. It seems like, it seems bogus, or it seems like, yeah, I guess that's a different video, but, they might have said that they were, how do I say? I was present during the perpetration of, I was physically present during the perpetration of sexual assaults and sexual batteries that occurred prior to 2011. So it might be said that they were trying to like knew me or convince me not to sexually batter people. However, I don't think what they were doing would have been necessary. I don't think what they would have been doing would have been like, I think it'd be like way over the top. Like just knowing about it. I mean, I've made a video about this before. Just like being made aware of this technology and that like people communicate to me and like my thoughts aren't necessarily my own, or my thoughts might be, what I experience as my thoughts might actually be someone using some advanced technology or operating some advanced technology to communicate to me, as opposed to just accepting, what I'm thinking as my own thoughts. I think that probably would have been enough to prevent that, with possibly like a little bit of like newing, possibly a little bit of newing. I was already like very much like, this is kind of a different video, but I was very much like apt to like not sexually assault people and not sexually batter people. I think just by like learning about this technology and learning like what my thoughts were and what my impulses were and what like my wants and desires, where they came from, like being aware that there's some technology I'm interacting with and that's interacting with my daily experience, probably would have been enough to go most of the way of preventing sexual assault, sexual batteries from occurring in the future. I might have also had some like sort of like, what would you call, like programming that sort of kicks on when I get excited, or like so there might have been like a little bit of knowing that might have been like indicated, or might have been helpful, or I might have even agreed to do had they asked. They didn't ask. Or even just like a little alarm that goes off that makes me go, hey, you're excited. The stuff they were doing seemed way over the top for like what would have been necessary to like prevent sexual assaults, sexual batteries in the future. And I think at times, I should slow down and make a different video about this, but a lot of their stuff, they like, I don't know if they like fictitiously or like semi-fictitiously or like possibly fictitiously like sort of like purported these excuses. Anyway, I should make a different video about this, or maybe I should probably get an investigator to check this out. But anyway, section 243.4C is what I was just talking about. Fraudulently represented that the touching served a professional purpose. Yeah. I think Camille Bailey, my brother Daniel's girlfriend, might like be some sort of like therapist, and I think her dad is some sort of like some like renowned or well-respected therapist or advanced technology therapist type person. However, I can make a whole video about this. Anyway, I'm available for questioning. I'm available for interview. Anyway, moving along. Okay, section 243.4D. Any person who for the purpose of sexual arousal, sexual gratification, or sexual abuse causes another against the person's will while that person is unlawfully restrained, either by the accused or an accomplice, or is institutionalized for medical treatment, or seriously disabled or medically incapacitated to masturbate or touch an intimate part of either those persons or a third person, is guilty of sexual battery. Either of those persons. So I guess if I masturbate myself, I'd be one of those, either of those persons. Yeah, okay, I think so. Okay, so during 2011 to 2013, I would masturbate to try and like fall asleep. And after I like sort of like developed that habit, or I wonder if they like suggested that as sort of like, I used to masturbate a lot. I used to watch a lot of internet pornography. I've always sort of like been like averse to it. I've always thought it was kind of like a little bit like not so good for my anatomy and like my physiology, and like not so good for me. I used to like go to therapy for like compulsive masturbation. However, once the harassment started, 2011, I would masturbate to try and fall asleep, because if I was asleep, like I wasn't getting publicized, or suspected I wasn't getting publicized, I wouldn't have to deal with like the harassment, assault, and battery. So I wonder if they suggested that I masturbate and then I masturbated a lot, or if I masturbated once and then they sort of like perpetuated it or like caused me to want to masturbate more. But I suspect they might have like done something that contributed towards causing me to want to masturbate, or causing me to masturbate. So yeah, that would be 2011 through 2013. And then like 2013 and or 2014, there was an incident with like the wooden dowel and the homemade penis pump, where I got like really excited, masturbated a lot, watched a lot of internet pornography, watched even more than I did normally. There was that. And then during 2014 to 2020, there were times where like I'd get like, they'd start stimulating me. And I'd kind of be like, I was being harassed and like being harassed all day long. And at times they'd start stimulating me in a way to like deal with like being stimulated, and sort of like the extra harassment that goes on with, oh, you're stimulated, don't ejaculate, like, like, are you going to ejaculate? Are you not going to ejaculate? Are we going to hook up? We're not going to hook up. Ooh, I like you. Ooh, I don't like you. Ooh, I like what you do. Ooh, I don't like what you do. All this stuff going on, this attempt to like pink me or faux pink me, or like bring me into sort of like the sexual aspects of a community, or like fake bring me into the sexual aspects of a community while they harass, assault, and batter me, and sexually batter me, and like make a show out of battering me, make a show out of harassing me. During that period, sometimes I would masturbate in order to stop like the sexual assault, because they'd start stimulating me, and it like adds another aspect to the harassment, and it's like, and you got to deal with like whatever it is they're kind of doing, and I'm lying there, I can't really just stop them. So one of the ways of like asserting control over the situation, one of the ways of alleviating the harassment, and sort of alleviating my own suffering, is that I'd masturbate. I'd either watch internet pornography, or like, yeah, I even had like a rubber sex toy, and like, anyway, I'd masturbate just to deal with like these people harassing, assaulting, and battering. So it might be said that they causes another to masturbate. So it might be said that they caused me to masturbate. It was like my escape from being sexually harassed, is that I'd ejaculate, and I'd sort of, anyway. Oh, and I was unlawfully restrained, and that it was during the period of harassment that it started during a day in 2011 and has continued into 2020, or had continued into 2020. Stuff really tapered off like sometime around like December 24th, 2019. But I was definitely sexually battered during January 2020. I've been sexually battered during February 2020, and there's been aspects of like an ongoing harassment all the way through 2020. It's been tapering off in different ways, and it's also been, the harassment's been tapering off in certain ways, kind of late 2019, early 2020. But there's still been like aspects of like an ongoing harassment. Also still have been aspects of sexual battery. Pretty sure there was sexual battery this morning. Yeah. There was sexual battery this morning. Sexual battery. Actually I shouldn't say that, because I'm sitting here reading the penal code. I'm not sure what was going on this morning. I was like sexually stimulated. I was saying stop. So in the sense that I was sexually battered this morning, I'd say with like the dictionary definition of sexual battery, like I was battered in a sexual fashion. I'm not sure if it qualifies for the California Penal Code right now or not. But I think it might. But I'm not sure about that. Anyway, as far as this other stuff goes, I've been explaining how I think it applies. So, okay. As far as anyway, just sort of a side note, I used to masturbate a lot when I was a kid, and I wonder if, I think because unlawfully restrained, but might not qualify. So I used to be like a compulsive masturbator as a kid, and I used to like want to stop masturbating. I used to find it like distressing, or not distressing, but I used to really want to stop masturbating, and I'd always find myself masturbating again, I'd always find myself wanting to masturbate again. I just wonder, I suspect people were operating some advanced technology at the time. I was also sexually abused as a kid, so there was like already sort of like questionable activity going on. I wonder if it could be said that I was unlawfully restrained by the people who I suspect were operating some advanced technology causing me to want to masturbate. You might say that because I had like a prevalent I think prevalent, but definitely definitely like a reoccurring and like common theme of wanting to stop masturbate throughout my day, throughout my like life when I was under the age of 18. It might be said that the people who repeatedly caused me to want to masturbate had me unlawfully restrained. Maybe not, but it seems their behavior seems kind of like it might be questionable. I don't know if I was unlawfully restrained or not, and it might qualify for like different laws or stuff like that. Anyway, it's kind of a different issue. Again, I've made additional videos that I've made available to law enforcement. I've put some videos on YouTube. I've made a lot of videos, a lot of typed documents available to law enforcement. And I've made it available to law enforcement, and it's in a collection uploaded to Microsoft's file sharing service or cloud file storage, Microsoft OneDrive, and I've made that available to law enforcement. So those videos are available to Sonoma County Sheriff, the FBI, Sonoma County District Attorney's Office. Okay, moving along. Okay, I'm looking at this, what am I looking at? Seriously disabled. So section 243.4E, excuse me, 243.4 G3. Seriously disabled. Because I didn't know how to operate this technology, I still don't know how to operate this technology, but it might be said that might not be seriously disabled because I don't know how to operate this technology. Maybe because I think a lot of the people who have been harassed, I think all the people who have been harassed, assaulting, and battering me operate an advanced technology, whereas I'm sort of like I'm out and like I haven't been made to actually operate the technology. So I'm at like a serious like disadvantage with these people. I don't know if it qualifies as seriously disabled though. Anyway, it's kind of a side note. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna cross out sexual assault just because I didn't see sexual assault actually referenced there. This thing. Sexual battery goes. So if touch, depending on assault rate, 200209A 1304. A is for about, and 1304 is for 1:04 p.m. So 200209A1304, say, depending on how touch, put touch in quotations, touch is construed the right word. Define. So I'm looking at the definition of construe on Google search engine. Construe. Interpret a word or action in a particular way. So depending on how touch is construed. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to be going to, all right, we're looking at California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 8, Chapter 8, False Imprisonment and Human Trafficking. Okay, Section 236, false imprisonment is the unlawful violation of the personal liberty of another. I think I qualify for this one. We're going to look for, see if it's defined anywhere. Okay, deprivation or violation of the personal liberty of another. Okay, I'm looking at section 236.1 H3. Deprivation or violation of the personal liberty of another includes substantial and sustained restriction of another's liberty accomplished through force, fear, fraud, deceit, coercion, violence, duress, menace, or threat of unlawful injury to the victim or to another person under circumstances where the person receiving or apprehending the threat reasonably believes that it is likely that the person making the threat would carry it out. Okay, so my liberty, like my freedom, was substantially and sustainably restricted. So my liberty to go about and do what I was doing without being like harassed and battered all day long, being harassed all day long, was how do they say? Restricted. Like I said, I was harassed and battered all day long. So, perceived noise, perceived thoughts, combative thoughts, victim of combative thoughts. So all day long, from 2011 to 2020. So it's a substantial and sustained restriction of another's liberty, accomplished through force. So they were doing things in my neurological system. I was distressed. I was saying stop. So it was force. They were actually doing something to me. I was fearful. They were doing things like my brain and like what I suspect is some sort of technological accompaniment to my brain that sort of constitutes like my personality, my thoughts, sort of who I am. So that caused a lot of fear in me. Fraud and deceit. They were deceitful. I'd ask. I think I've asked questions before. And they've sent like explanations that are kind of like evasive, obstructing, difficult, confusing, sometimes just outright false, I think. I mean, then they'd like say something. I'm not sure if they come around with stuff that's outright false. I think they might, but I think they might have. But yeah, they're definitely like deceitful. They're very difficult, very difficult. Violence, like I said earlier, they were doing things to me. Threat of unlawful injury. Like I said, they've done things to my body. They threatened like intestinal pain, gut pain, threatened like causing my anus to leak fluid, threatened further harassment. Anyway, I think I've covered that already. Okay. And because they had already done this stuff to me and then then threatened it on subsequent days or days after, I'd say it's under circumstances where I apprehended the threat and reasonably believed that it was likely that the person making the threat would carry it out. So that would be deprivation or violation of the personal liberty of another. So that would qualify them for Section 236, false imprisonment. All right, we look for human trafficking. I might be a dependent adult. As far as Section 237B goes, I might be a dependent adult, and that I don't operate my own advanced technology. Like I missed the opportunity to get training at this advanced technology, and I think the people who have been harassing, assaulting, and battering me participate in like managing and operating, or might possibly participate in managing and operating this advanced technology that like is sort of like an accompaniment to myself. I'm sort of like stuck with now, and it's also been used to harass, assault, and batter me, or associated technologies have been used to harass, assault, and batter me. Great bodily injury, all like the wooing and deaning and stuff, all the stuff they did to my neurological system, also just sort of like the general like cooking of my neurological system with all the activity that's been occurring, I think would constitute a serious bodily injury, a significant and substantial physical injury. And as far as where's the stuff on? Okay, section 236.1a. Person who violates the personal liberty of another with intent to obtain forced labor or services is guilty of human trafficking, shall be punished by, right. So I think they were putting on a show. This guy Clark Anderson and Robert Grant were putting on a show. They call it like, I've been referred to as Everybody. I think they also possibly called the show Shoes. It was also referred to as Shoe, Jew, Chew. But I think Robert Grant and Clark Anderson, they put on the show, probably like the Everybody show, or put on a show that involves like a role of somebody being everybody. I think I was designated as Everybody, and part of what they do is like have people come around and look at me and talk to me and like kind of like observe my response to things, or at least it's purported as such. Even if they're just faking it, I still think it might be part of the show, part of like a demonstration that they do, part of something they do for like money and personal reputation, and like to further their own sort of clout in sort of the community, or like neurologic or advanced technology community of the Bay Area, California, the United States, and the world. So I think part of what they were doing was making a show out of me while I was being harassed, assaulted, and battered. And I think they might have also participated in harassing, assaulting, and battering me. I think there have been depictions of Clark Anderson. Possibly. I have to stop and think about that again. And I also think they contributed towards me being harassed, assaulted, and battered, is that they publicized what was going on. I think a lot of the appeal for people harassing, assaulting, and battering me, including a lot of the females, was that I was being publicized. I was very like, through this advanced technology, there was a show going on. There were like people with a lot of power, supposedly people with a lot of power, political clout, like industrial figures. There was a law enforcement, federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, all observing. So, you know, they're obtaining like the service of like, from me, of getting my ass, you know, excuse my language. They're like, they're getting the benefit, or like the benefit of battering me while I'm being publicized. So I'm essentially like an item for like an entertainment show, or part of what I'm doing is I'm an item for as part of an entertainment show. And in that regard, forced services or forced labor is being obtained from me. I said multiple times, stop publicizing me, stop doing things to me. I said, stop publicizing me. So I told them to stop like making a show out of me. There's been additional considerations. There's probably more I could say about this, but I definitely said stop publicizing me. And I think there's been some sort of show going on that Clark Anderson and or Robert Grant put on. Possibly more people participate in. Therefore, I think a lot of these people are guilty of perpetrating human trafficking. Not to mention that, and part of the show involved me like masturbating, and me like getting fake pinked, and me like saying stop to people who come along and sexually batter me day in and day out. I think that was part of the show, so it very much had like I think it would qualify as a commercial sex act, and that like, what's the definition for commercial sex act? So sexual conduct on account of anything a value given or received by a person. So I think part of why people were sexually battering me is that there's a show going on, and I think there's a lot of value in like people's reputation, the people perpetrating it, the people putting on the show, a lot of value in sort of like being able to, yeah. I think there's a lot of value in that these females come along and like batter me in a sexual fashion while there's like a show going on. So that like I think they're sort of like their personal ambitions, their professional ambitions, their reputational ambitions, all this stuff is like involved in what was occurring. So I think people putting on the show and also people perpetrating the sexual battery of me would be, yeah, I think so, would be guilty of human trafficking. It might be said that people putting on the show are trying to like publicize me being harassed, assaulted, and battered, but it seems for some reason I think like thinking about Clark Anderson, I think he like participated in like making a show out of it. I think I think the fact that there's a show and there's like a lot of celebrities coming through might like perpetuate like me getting harassed, assaulted, and battered. There's also been times when I think like, I should make a different video about this. There's like stuff I remember. I should slow down and make another video about this, or a different video about this. I think they possibly sent like sexually like aggressive. A lot's been going on. I think they participated in harassment, assault, and battery, or at least been depicted as such. Even if it wasn't like sexual stuff, I think they still like came on to me and like attempted to batter me and harass me. Because there'd be stuff where like the show would go on, or I'd be like getting publicized, and I'd say stop publicizing me, and like stuff would keep notching at me. Like these dudes would keep like my head would like the thoughts like kept coming, So I think that would constitute battery. When I was saying stop, I think there were additional considerations also. All right. So all right, we're looking for torture. And I think torture's with mayhem. Okay, so I'm going to write for false imprisonment and human trafficking. So false imprisonment, I'm going to write 200209A 1319. All right. Benjamin Coxon, and sign it. And for human trafficking, 200209. Excuse me. Under false imprisonment, I wrote 20020. I gotta add a 9. So I wrote a 9 over the A. I'll put an A in front of the 1319. Okay, so back to human trafficking. 200209 A 1319 Benjamin Coxon. All right, move along. All right, we're going to go look at California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 8, Chapter 2, Mayhem. Okay, Chapter 2, Mayhem, Section 203. Every person who unlawfully and maliciously deprives a human being of a member of his body, or disables, disfigures, or renders it useless, or cuts or disables a tongue, or puts out an eye, or slits the nose, ear, or lip, guilty of mayhem. Okay. So, unlawfully and maliciously, I'd say people attacking me during 2011 to 2020 were malicious. Sure, I think they had like bad intent, or they were intent on injuring me. Not sure what malicious means. Let's look at malicious. No. Stop observing me. Stop harassing me. Stop observing me. Stop harassing me. Intending or characterize my malice. Intending or intended to do harm. So I think they intended to do harm to me. That's what malice means. Ill will, the intention or desire to do evil. It could be. Intending or intended to do harm. I think they intended to do harm towards me. Okay, so, and I think it was unlawful. I was saying stop, and they kept doing things to me, so it qualifies as unlawful. So, with the penis pump thing, they disfigured my penis. Like I said, the middle section seems swollen. It still does, or it did as much as a few days ago. The head of the penis seemed like it was smaller, smaller and also proportionately smaller. Like it seemed like more narrow, had kind of a different shape to it. The whole thing, like the penis feels like a little more rubbery. Like it feels a little like it's like a little denser, kind of, not like it's like fleshy and not as like fleshy and like soft fleshy. It's more like a rubbery, like fleshy, rubbery, fleshy. And also the base of it, it seems more narrow. So I'm concerned about the connective tissue, but it's like visually, like you can tell it's like more narrow at the bottom. I'm concerned about the connective tissue. Yeah, so in that sense, I believe my penis has been disfigured, and I think people did something to my neurological system to excite me and cause me to operate some homemade penis pump hooked up to a homemade vacuum, or hooked up to a vacuum cleaner, and put that on my penis and do things to my penis multiple times. I did it multiple times. At some point, I threw the penis pump, like the apparatus that I made. I threw it in the garbage to like stop myself from doing it anymore. And then a few days later, or a few weeks later, within a few weeks, I made another one. I made an additional penis pump one. So I think people were causing. There's previous videos about this. I made videos about this before. I think people were operating some advanced technology to cause me to do this to myself. Yeah. I think in that regard, I'm a victim of mayhem. Also, at times, I think they've disabled my brain. Like I said, they do things. They'd screw me and do things to like my consciousness. Whereas like I'd have there'd be like disorientation. Disorientation, sort of focus. My focus would be in like different. They do things like my focus. So they were doing things to sort of like my consciousness and my awareness. So I think in that regard, they were, at least in part, disabling my brain. Disabling sort of like my natural like perception. And I think so they disabled a member of my body. Temporarily, partially, who knows if they've done more. So in that regard, again, I think they're, again, guilty of mayhem and all the stuff they've been doing to my neurological system. Like the screwing, yeah. I was saying stop while this stuff was going on. Pretty sure I was saying stop during the penis thing. Anyway, I was like, I can make a different video about this. I was like noticeably distressed. I think they were attacking me. I was already in like a period of harassment and being attacked. I think it was like obviously like battersome. Obviously like an attack and like an assertion of power and like an assertion of like I'm gonna beat you anyway. All right, more going. Also, I've been caused to have cold sores on my lips. by people operating this advanced technology, they've done it like sort of like an obvious fashion where they're sitting there talking to me and I kind of like feel a little tinge and it feels like a cold sore coming on. So I think in that regard, they have unlawfully, maliciously slit my lip multiple times. So in that regard, I think they'd be guilty of mayhem. There have been a lot of depictions of Sarah Lockwood doing that to me. So, yeah. That'd be section 203 for cold sores. Or as it sounds like it kind of, yeah. And Carly Clements, stop observing me. Okay. Okay, section 205. Aggravated mayhem. Circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the psychological well-being of me. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say battering me for that long. Continuously over that many days, all day long. I would manifest extreme indifference to, that'd be a manifestation of extreme indifference to my psychological well-being. And I'd said intentionally caused disfigurement of my penis. Yeah, did they? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a permanent disability. I think they caused intentionally, or I don't know if they intentionally caused permanent disfigurement. I think they might have caused disfigurement. Yeah, it doesn't say intentionally caused permanent disfigurement. I think what they were doing with the penis pump I think they intentionally caused disfigurement of my penis, even if it was like temporary. Whether they anticipated permanent disfigurement or not, I think they intentionally caused at least temporary disfigurement. And like my penis would like inflate and be disfigured in that regard while it was in the penis pump. Yep. That'd be section 205 of California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 8, Chapter 2, Mayhem. All right. Okay, section 206. Every person who, with the intent to cause cruel or extreme pain and suffering, for the purpose of revenge, pain and suffering. Yeah, I mean, it's painful going through this stuff. It's painful going through like years of being harassed, assaulted, and battered. I think they deliberately caused me to experience pain, caused me to suffer. I think there might have been elements of revenge, that the purported herpes being spread, and sexual assault, sexual batteries occurring, possible sexual batteries occurring prior to 2011, and possibly after 2011. Persuasion. I think they might be trying to persuade me, even if they're just trying to persuade me to not sexually assault and or sexually batter people, they're still pretending to persuade. I think they're attempting to persuade me to like fear them, or yeah. I think they're trying to persuade me, trying to like affect my sort of like opinions and my thoughts, and in that regard, they might be attempting to persuade me. Sadistic. Deriving pleasure from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. I think they did find it like pleasurable. I think they enjoyed the experience of inflicting pain and causing me to suffer. They've been at it for so long. It kind of fits with sort of like their like prior. Kind of fits with them, like what I've noticed about like their personality and like sort of like their attitudes. inflicting pain and suffering and humiliation on people really doesn't seem beyond them. And I've described great bodily injury already in this video. The penis pump thing with all the advanced technology stuff, doing stuff to my neurological system. There's also wooing and dean, where they like resegregate or segregate and isolate memories and personality traits and all sorts of like kind of like extreme and extra like neurological, neurotechnology, advanced technology stuff. Yeah. So in that regard, yeah, I think they qualify for Section 206, the California Penal Code. The video screen's down in the corner, so I've been like looking at the corner of the screen a lot. All like the California Penal Code and the Google definition things at the top of the screen, so that's why I'm not looking at the camera. Okay, so under torture, I'm going to write, or after torture, I'm going to write 200209 A 1332, my name, Benjamin Coxon, and sign it. Under mayhem, I'm going to write 200209 A 1333 Benjamin Coxon, sign it. Okay, perjury. Look for perjury. Okay, this will be California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 7, Title 7, Chapter 5, Perjury and Subornation of Perjury. Okay, so I contested the stuff, the 5150s and 5250s that occurred during 2018 and 2019. I contested them. You get like an opportunity to like file a writ or contest them in court or something while I was staying at the hospital. So it's like there were 4 hearings total, 2 at the hospital, and then 2 at the at the courthouse for each 5150, 5250. I on at least 2 occasions, for one, the doctors like deny existence of this technology. They're like the ones medicating me and like imposing holds or advising that holds, California Health and Safety Code holds be put on me. And they're like giving testimony about during these hearings about like what's been going on, and they all seem to sort of like pretend like this technology or the suspected technology doesn't exist. So in that regard, I think they'd be perjuring themselves on at least 2 occasions. I think both in Alameda County during 2018 and or 2019. I asked the public defender to like directly ask the doctors if they believe that this technology exists. One of the doctors said, "I don't believe so," and I think the other doctor said, "No, this technology does not exist." So I think in both those regards, they'd be perjuring themselves, or they might be perjuring themselves. I'm not sure of like the actual like what their thoughts were at the time, what they were aware of at the time, like how they organized their own like technological accompaniment to their neurological processes. So I'm not certain about it, but I strongly suspect that they would qualify or might qualify for perjury. That's about what's going on with like medical doctors in California Health and Safety Code 5150 and 5250. I'm not going to sign this one right now just because I don't want to like go into reading it, and I really don't know what the internal state of the doctors were while they were on the stand or while they were giving testimony. So, and I'm also running out of disk space to make this video. Running out of disk space on the computer to make this video, so I got to kind of move along. So, yeah, I guess I'm just going to cross these ones out. But I strongly suspect that perjury might be an issue. As far as going forward, it might be something that, something to consider. Contrary to the oath. Willfully and contrary to the oath states as true any material matter which he or she knows to be false. So I guess if they willfully say something that they know is false, either any of those doctors, then I guess that'd be perjury. So I guess you have to. I'm running out of space for the video. I gotta kind of move. I'm sorry. I can make like a different video about what I remember about those times, and I was trying to remember to get the court records. I gotta remember to do that. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna go up to. Okay, now it's gonna be California Penal Code, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 8, Conspiracy. If 2 or more persons conspire to commit any crime. It seems like there have been depictions of a lot of different people participating in harassing, assaulting, and battering me. So I think what's been occurring would there'd also be elements of conspiracy going on. I should also state I suspect. Involvement possibly in the planning of events in which I was harassed, assaulted, and battered, involvement of federal law enforcement officers, and also possibly members of the U.S. military, possibly also elected officials. Also suspect or have the perceived depictions of federal law or purported federal law enforcement officers participating in sexually battering me during 2014 to 2020 through some advanced technology. I made additional videos about this sort of thing and made them available to law enforcement and criminal prosecutors. Okay, sorry, I'm worried I'm not going to get to the end of the video, so I'm kind of moving along here. Okay, I have an audio file recording. The audio recording also. The audio file the audio file name is 200209_003.wav. It's currently at 10 hours, 39 minutes, and 46 seconds, 47 seconds, 48 seconds, 49 seconds. This is the California driver's license issued to me. It has the number D4315123 on it. I'm currently located at the address that's listed on the California driver's license issued to me. Currently located in the town of Windsor in the county of Sonoma in the state of California, United States of America. I'm going to turn on the television to confirm, or turn on television live news to confirm, help confirm date and time, the current date and time. Looks like blue skies out. Yeah, that's approximately east, that's approximately west, that's approximately north, that's approximately south. This is CNN Newsroom with Frederica Whitfield on channel 1202, CNN HD.
Questioning the faith of the people on the right.
This is live news.
This is like part and parcel of the conversation that's going on in religious political circles now. So he's especially egregious for doing it in a national setting at a prayer breakfast. I mean, he basically violated.
Stricken communities.
This is channel 1208, One America News. OAN and HD.
Potential of opportunity zones after struggling with drug addiction and homelessness. His life was turned around after he found employment with a construction company operating in an opportunity zone. Only a few more days.
This is MSNBC Live, channel 1215.
The vote here could be even more important this year after the Iowa caucuses failed to deliver a clear-cut winner. Here's NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki.
Well, here we are. It's the middle of winter. Every 4 years, 2020 on traditional.
All right. So I'm going to put in, what, conspiracy? Okay, next to conspiracy, I'm going to write 200-209A1341, Benjamin Coxon. And next to perjury, I'm going to put an X. So this is what this paper looks like. Scan this paper into scanned documents, and it'll be uploaded to the, or I plan to upload it to the files that I've made available to law enforcement and criminal prosecutors. Okay, I'm gonna move the screen here a little bit. Okay. So my name is Benjamin Coxon. I attest under penalty of perjury, under laws of the United States and the state of California, under laws about filing false police reports or making false statements to law enforcement, criminal prosecutors, and court officials, that the information I put forth in this video is true and correct. I do attest, I do swear that it's true. Yeah. I believe I'm the victim of crimes, or have been the victim of crimes while located in the state of California. I'm a legal U.S. citizen, and was a legal U.S. citizen at the time of those crimes. Those crimes occurred during 2011, 2020, and during 2014 to 2020, while I was located in the United States. I was briefly in Canada during 2013 for less than an hour, and most of the time I was in California, and most of the time I was in the county of Sonoma. A lot of the time I was in the town of Windsor. I officially request, I officially request, and I officially demand official government, law enforcement, and criminal prosecutors investigate and criminally prosecute, and that these people be prosecuted in criminal courts, and that criminal charges be brought against people who have perpetrated crimes against me that I've described in this video and additional videos. Thank you. I'm going to show a shot of the outside just to give some reference of location. See that? There's that. It's the neighbor's house. It's the room I'm in. This is the door to the rest of the house. It's the laundry room across the hallway, and that's a thermostat right there for the house. Again, my name is Benjamin Coxon. My birth date is listed as August 25th, 1986. The number on my California driver's license listed as the number on the California driver's license issued to me is listed as D4315123. Currently located in the bedroom I've been sleeping in, so in the house I've been staying in, so in the town of Windsor in the county of Sonoma, the state of California, United States of America. It's currently February 9th, 2020. It's Sunday. It's currently about 1:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you. End of video.